I've never talked down about Tamisha. Never. So, at the show yesterday night, someone asked me, have you seen the live streams with Tamisha? It is a public video. It is public knowledge. The public is going to have opinions when you are going on live stream talking about other Rue girls. Baby, the entire internet was talking about Tamisha Iman and Monet Exchange. So when they asked me about it, I said, if you have 30 years under your belt, there is no reason why you shouldn't have thick skin. Granted, I'm not dismissing her feelings, because listen, if you feel some type of way that Monet Exchange doesn't like your drag, that's how you feel, and that's fine. I'm never going to discount your feelings. I personally would not give a fuck. At the beginning of the season, I was sitting there and going back and forth with fans and going back and forth with people that did not like my drag. At this point, I don't care. Fighting with people isn't going to do anything. I don't care that you don't like my drag. I don't care that you don't like my fucking, what I wore on the runway last week. I don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, I know what I brought to the competition and I stand by it. Now, we can sit here and talk about toxic this, toxic that. I don't want to be toxic. Oh, I don't care about Kandy. Well, you made a whole live stream about Kandy. So there's that. You want to really sit here and talk about toxic? When... and then one thing she mentioned in her live was, we can call or whatever. First of all, I don't even think we have each other's numbers. I haven't spoken to Tamisha since we even left filming. And right before the ball episode aired, I messaged Tamisha and I said, verbatim, hey girl, I know tonight's the argument. It's gonna get real messy. You have a lot of fans. Well, just so you know, like, respect, like, it's gonna be great TV, whatever it is, what it is. And this was after the 10-minute preview was posted where I said Simone's my biggest competition. I was left on scene. I was left on red. That's fine. You saw the message. And that's all that matters. When the ball episode aired, you sent me a request. Bob, where are you? I'm gonna let Bob in. When the episode aired for Untucked, Bob, I just sent you. Ooh, there you are. Hey.
I really should not be doing this.
You shouldn't. But hold on, let me finish this real quick. When the episode of The Ball aired between me and Tamisha, after I had already messaged her and got left on red, I was getting, there's no secret that I was getting death threats and dragged throughout the internet. Me and my mother were going through it. Never not once did Tamisha speak up about it, but what she was doing was liking shady tweets about me and reposting nasty things about me. So don't sit here and preach to the choir like you don't want toxic fans, but you're doing the same thing. So that I made a little comment at my show when someone asked me a question about, oh, have you seen Tamisha's live? Well, it's a public event, baby. You said on Tuesday, I'm going to read Monet's ass. So it's a public event. So when someone asked me about it, I answered. 30 years in the industry, have some thick skin. And I'm never going to discount your feelings. If you felt hurt by what Monet and Bob said, that is on you. But when I was being dragged for 4 months through the fucking mud to Drag Race, when Violet Chachki went on the pit stop and said, baby, Violet Chachki put 4 fucking nails in my coffin, I don't give a fuck. It's a review. We're putting ourselves on this public platform, and not that it's open season, but girl, people are gonna have opinions about you. So, anyway, hey Bob.
Hey Kandy, and I've just been thinking so much today. This has been a wild ride of a day.
It has been something, huh?
Yeah, it really is. It's been so wild, and I've been trying to come from a place of accountability, come from a place of compassion, come from a place of understanding. And, you know, my gut instinct, and I don't think it's just me, I think everyone's gut instinct is to just defend yourself.
Absolutely.
Until the end of the world, and to defend your friends. You know?
Baby, so you tweeted you tweeted a photo of Monet and said, Monet's my best friend, I will defend her to the... That's the same way I feel about my bitches. I will always go to the end of the world for my girls. And my thing is, you can't be upset that it's become this huge spectacle when you've made it this. You've made it that you set an event up on YouTube for people to come and see you drag someone else. But then
Yeah, that's
you can sit here and say toxic this, toxic that, because that's exactly what you're doing.
yeah. I mean, I feel but here's the thing: you can do that. Like people do it because I'm trying to navigate my life from a space where I'm allowing people to be wrong
Hey
because,
Monet.
because I've been wrong too. So I'm trying to navigate from a space where I am allowing people to be wrong about things because I've been wrong about a lot of things in
Mhm.
my past. I'll be wrong about things in my future. Um, it's a big part of the human experience. And if I'm looking at my part in all of this, me and Monet, we play too much. We joke a lot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it really kind of started when Tamisha once kind of said like a cryptic thing, being like, "I'm gonna read some of you girls," and I was like, "I think she's talking about Monet." I didn't know if she was or not, but I just thought it was funny to keep being
Right.
like, "Monet's Tamisha gonna drag you," but because Tamisha had, put out this tweet that was, I mean, this message that was kind of like, I'm gonna once this contract is up, I'm gonna get you girls. And
Right.
then, but I'm also willing to recognize in this moment that it doesn't feel like light shade.
No,
Like,
absolutely not.
like it got to a point where I know if I feel this way at the end of the day, I don't. And despite what she says, I don't think that Tamisha's just laying down on a bed of clouds and sleeping like a baby. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
You wouldn't be making live streams about it if you were also unbothered about it.
And it makes sense to be bothered about it. That it makes sense for her to be bothered about it. And I'm wondering where we each find our part in this. Because part of me feels like everyone is so easy to pass the buck and be like, it wasn't me, it was you. It wasn't me, it was you. It wasn't me, it was you. Instead, at what point do we all say, maybe we each had a little bit in this? And
Yeah,
what makes me the illest in my head as I'm getting ready to lay down? It's all the black queens.
you know, and it's like I said, I would never like discount anyone's feelings. And if Tamisha was hurt by what I said at Pieces Bar last night, or if like whoever, I would never be like, well, girl, you shouldn't feel me because that's not that serious. No, I'm never gonna do that. I think that there is a level. Respect is earned, not given.
I agree.
Prior to me walking onto the set of season 13, I did not know who Tamisha Iman was. After getting to know her, I know that she was an icon and a legend in her community. But when we walk onto that set of season 13, we all walk in with a clean slate. So you
Mhm.
already demanding respect from me. That's not how that works.
But
Respect
that's
goes both ways.
and
So
the part about that too is, Candy, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just trying to see my part in this, and I'm thinking to myself, like, part of it is like I want to meet people where they are, and I want to, whenever someone introduces something that I think is morally wrong, it is, I think, all of our natural intention to do what they did. Well, she called me a bitch, so I get to call her a bitch. But if that is outside of our own moral compass, then maybe we shouldn't do that. And I'm realizing now that, not now, but I've realized before, and I'm re-realizing it again, that I do that a lot sometimes, and I want to get to a point for me personally. Like, for example, I did a whole video today dragging Monet's looks because
I watched it. Yeah.
that's what we do. Me and Monet, we drag each other. We think it's funny. I'm from the New York City drag scene. You know how the girls do. You get to the show. If you're a drag queen in Tina Burner's audience, she's gonna read you at some point, and then you're gonna read her at your show, and then it's just such a big part of the thing. But then also they are simping for you in the chat right now. By the way,
Well,
they are
I
all
see. I
simping for
actually
you.
got a text from someone. Apparently, something was sound the other live. And it sucks that it has to get to what it is because I feel like as someone who I personally don't have anything against Tamisha Iman. Last time we spoke was when we filmed back last summer. We haven't spoken since then, nor do I care to talk to someone that doesn't care about me. I don't have any ill will towards her. I don't wish her any. And in every single interview that I've done, I've been very vocal about Tamisha Iman being the first older Black pageant queen to come on the show and have such a large fan base the way she did. And every interview she's done, she's been very vocal about why she doesn't follow me and a lot of the girls from the cast. What is that one saying? Don't throw stones from a glass house.
Yeah, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I got into a conversation earlier with the Vixen on Keisha Carr's live, and when I left the conversation, despite feeling like in the moment I was thinking, I just put a shirt on something, I look slutty. In the moment I was thinking to myself, like, I thought that maybe we were going to get somewhere, and then it really took a sharp left turn. And we pass the buck around. We say, because even in this moment, what my gut instinct is to say everything that she said that was wrong and why it was wrong, as opposed to saying, if I had all of your experiences, I would be just like you. If I was where Tamisha Iman is from, if I was gone through what she's gone through, had her body, had her parents, went to the school she did, had her kids, I would have ended up just like Tamisha Iman, making all the same decisions. And if I had all of your experiences, I'd be just like you. Mm-hmm. I would have that thick New York City skin where I get mad at first, and then I learn to move on. I see that with Monet a lot. Monet gets mad, and then we move on and we laugh about stuff. You know what I mean? And that's what I just try to keep in my mind. That's what I try to keep in my mind. If I had your experiences, I would have done the same thing you did, and try to come from that place of compassion. Because it does hurt my heart to think that Tamisha Iman is going to go to bed tonight and she can't get her orders fulfilled from her website. Her website's been hacked or whatever, and that's her livelihood. Like, and then my brain goes,
absolutely. And listen, and like I said before, and I absolutely agree with what you're saying, and and it sucks that happened with her orders for merch, and especially now with the pandemic, it's the way we make our money, and I wouldn't want that for anyone. And listen, I don't hate Tamisha, and I know she doesn't particularly have a good taste in her mouth about me, and that's fine. I've reached out to her several times to try to make amends after the show, and it has to happen. And it's fine. Not everyone's going to get along. Not everyone's going to like each other. Not everyone has to get along. We will respect each other, however. And I'm a very, what is the word, empathetic person? Sympathetic? When you feel for other people?
Empathy.
I do have a lot
of is when you feel for people, and sympathy is when you feel sorry for people.
And when I see, Tamisha, I feel bad when I see Tamisha going on live or going off on the fans, because I know that she hasn't received that level of hatred from the fan throughout the show the way she's receiving it now, which isn't that well. So I know it's deep for her, and you can tell by her getting on live every single day and coming after the fans. And I just, all I wanted to do after the show was done, I reach out to her and I make amends. Unfortunately, we didn't have a reunion, so we didn't have the opportunity to do that in person. The only thing I was met with at the reunion was I would have punched Kandy if there were no cameras around, and an entire music video dedicated to the other argument, which is fine. But hey, what can we do?
And then I would ask, what is something that the fans can do to help you in this situation? Like when you were going through the situation with Tamisha, and the argument had come out and people were really choosing sides, what do you think the fans could have done, or people in general could have done, to help you in a situation like that?
I think that so when the Untucked aired, the internet was wild. I actually had to log off the night of the Untucked because it was just too much. And obviously we know that the Drag Race fandom is very toxic. We know that not everyone is toxic and not everyone's racist, but a lot of the fandom is that way. And people were obviously picking their sides. They saw it as I was being too much, being too loud, or Tamisha came in the room and did her thing first. I think that what people failed to see was these are two queens in a competition who are a lot of under pressure, who are stressed out. It was the ball episode, meaning we had a very long day of shooting. Tensions were high. Tamisha had gotten red on the runway. She was in the bottom. She was low that week.
Mhm.
So she came in hot, and I think people just didn't see, okay, these girls are just going at it because they're upset, and they just saw what they really saw, because everyone had a preconceived notion of who Kandy Muse was before going on Drag Race. But they saw, oh, that bitch is loud and too much, and she's a fucking bully, and she bullied Tamisha, and how dare she bully a cancer survivor. This is all things I've heard throughout the past 4 months, and even to this day. And I think people just need to separate what is real from what is television. And granted, yes, in that moment, I don't regret anything that happened in Untucked. I stand by everything I did and said. That's how I felt in that moment, and that's how I reacted. And that is what it is. I think people just need to realize that, in a setting like that, when there's two drag queens and tensions are high, things might happen. I think that people need to be kinder to the girls. I'm someone who has thick skin, so I'm someone who's able to handle it. But that doesn't mean that the next girl is going to be like that. Look at the way they treated Britta last season.
The Brita thing was so hard because we lived near each other. She lived she lived a few blocks down from me, and Britta was really open about how the criticism from her experience with the fans led her to wanting to self-harm pretty severely. Yeah. And then the conversation became it's the review shows that are making her. But then I'm like, in my opinion, maybe we should have a conversation about mental health. Maybe we need to have follow-up counseling after RuPaul's Drag Race. Maybe the psyche eval before the show isn't enough. Maybe we need to talk to someone after the show to make sure that we're still well. Because it is unfair to insinuate. It would be unrealistic to try to go into the world and expect no one to critique you. That would be we will never reach a place where the fans will stop critiquing us or where the other girls stop critiquing us. That is literally not a thing. We can advocate for it until the cows come home. It's never going to happen.
Do I feel like some of the reviews sometimes are a little harsh? Sure. But it's the way to go. Listen, after the whole thing with Tamisha and me happened, I started therapy. Because it was, I have VH1 and the producer called me every single day, making sure that I was okay, because I was going through ruin. It was a lot to handle. I think that also, to any queen going on the show in the future season, if you and a girl have a certain situation where maybe you're in the wrong, she's in the wrong, when you both come out of that filming the show, and you're both out in the real world, and you see someone being attacked for the argument that y'all have, you stand up for your sister. You don't post shady shit about. You don't repost shady shit about them. You don't like shady tweets. You don't go do interviews after your elimination talking shit about them. To come on the live stream and say, "Oh, there are 19 cameras and there's an edited show, and if we were to lip sync and or like, oh, you were dragged to the top 4 by producers as a scripted show." Baby, the only script I ever read on the show was the one that was given to me for the acting challenge.
And we also know too, that's all. But that's the thing too. That is all subjective. So whether or not Tamisha could beat you would be better at a lip sync is subjective. In theory, she is, and she isn't, because it's all up to the person watching. So she could beat you, and also you could beat her. It just depends on who you're asking. It's not like a foot race. It's not like where there's a definitive winner. It's all based on who you think should win. So that's what I'm trying to keep in my head. Just the way that, in my opinion, me and Monet and Trixie and Violet and everyone else and Bussy Queen and everyone else and Jake Yonsei are entitled to their opinions about the looks. Tamisha is entitled to her opinion to think that she could beat you. I do think it is a little bit problematic when you say stuff like you were dragged to the top. It invalidates you. It says that you didn't earn what you got. It says that because I didn't make it, it must have been rigged. But also, Kandy, it says more about how she feels than it does about you. That says nothing about your talent. When she says you got dragged to the top, that says nothing about your talent. It speaks more about how she feels about you. Yeah. And it speaks about her. And that's what I'm trying to keep going on with myself. Whenever I was getting critiques, being told that my makeup was horrible, In New York City, we don't do that. You know that. In New York City, if you look busted, if you're doing a good job, we just go, girl, you're so funny. When I got to Drag Race and they told me my makeup was fucked, I was gagged. I was like, me? But I'm so beautiful. Everyone back home tells me that I'm great. Meanwhile, they never said I was beautiful. They just kept saying I was great. They just in New York City, we just celebrate you for what you are. We never tear you down for where you're not. At least in the drag scene, that's how we've always been.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Also, let's not get that twisted either, because I heard a few things. Listen, I am a bitch that had a show 6 nights a week here in New York City prior to the pandemic. I am Brooklyn's Drag Queen of the Year in 2000 and what year was it? I got the award right here. In 2018, I am a staple in my Brooklyn community. So,
and I know that.
And I would never want to sit here and devalidate. I don't even know that's a word now, bitch. Devalidate someone's
Invalidate.
Yeah. Because I have so many years under my belt. I am very aware that Tamisha is a fucking icon. I am very aware that she's a legend. I've given her flowers. Give her her flowers. Give her her doll hairs. Give her her coins, mama. Buy her sneakers. It just sucks that it has to come to this. And, you know, unfortunately, the way I look at season 13 is I went in there, I made a few amazing friends, and the rest of the girls were part of the cast. And that's just the way I look at things now because, you know, the sucky part about it is that a lot of the girls in the season stayed very, very quiet throughout the entire situation because they wanted to defend Tamisha. And I get it, you know. But I know who I am. And I know that I worked very hard to get to where I am. And I know that I worked very hard to be first runner-up on season 13. And like I said, I don't wish her ill will. And I came on here very respectful and not arguing and screaming because I don't need to do that. I have moved on from the show. Not the show, because I love Drag Race, and I've said this before. I do Drag Race 10 more times. I moved on from season 13. I am now focused on what I'm going to do next, and at some point maybe come back on the show. I'm not gonna sit here and do petty arguments. I thought the whole thing with her and Monet was comedy, only because I thought the way Monet reacted to me was so funny because she was so unbothered. And that's it about the whole situation, really.
Do you think that you have a call to action in order of reparation of the situation? Like, for example, me, I was saying, I was putting out, and I'm putting out again here, like, whenever I go to Tamisha's live, and I will be honest, I am sucked into this. Like, I cannot stop involving myself in this. And I'm not one of the folks who's like, girl, I'm not bothered. I'm bothered.
Right.
We're all bothered. We're online. We're all fully bothered. Girl, I don't care. I care. Bitch, I did a whole fucking show tonight. And I got in drag in 40 minutes, bitch. I care the house down. You know what I mean? And because I do care, I'm saying this is an opportunity for us to say, hey, y'all, if you're going to go to Tamisha's page, post a heart. Don't.
Absolutely.
When you get there, just say, I appreciate you. You're an icon. I love you. And that's what I'm taking this opportunity to do with myself. You know what I mean?
Listen, Tamisha to me is one of the most beautiful queens to ever walk in. That her face is sitting and no one can tell her anything, okay? To the people that support me, to the 6,000 people that are watching this right now, to my fans, the people that know who I am, know that I do not stand by anyone going out of their way to bully someone else. I would never want anyone to go on Tamisha's page or Tamisha's live and say Team Kandy and you're bothered. None of that, because that I don't put that energy out there. I don't want that, you know. And from this point forward, I am letting it go. I will not speak of her name anymore, just because it makes no sense for me to even sit here and go back and forth with someone who we're never going to see eye to eye. I wish her the best in her career. And you know what, granted, maybe I could have sent her pieces where I'd be like, oh, girl, yeah, that was so funny. And I'd be like, you know what, you have 30 years, you should have thick skin. Because at the end of the day, X amount of years on your belt does not mean that you should have thick skin. And maybe that was rough for me to say.
And that's the thing. I was telling someone said, it's just the truth. Sometimes, this is so hard for me to get through my fucking thick ass head, that just because something's true doesn't mean it's not shady. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, just because we have a point when we say it doesn't mean that it's not fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're
So
absolutely correct.
I've been really thinking really hard about like what it means to do these review shows. Do I want to do the review? I mean, I've done 2 seasons of the Pit Stop. I did a season of UK and I did a season of 13.
Uh,
And if people are coming away feeling bad about themselves, because not everyone I know can joke like me and Monet Exchange.
correct.
Me and Bianca can drag each other through the mud, and it is fine. Me and Monet can read each other down, and it is fine. Um, and some seasons, like for example, with UK, Thorgy really didn't like Tia Coffee. They made a whole bit of it. They were able to laugh and have fun. But it seems like obviously Elliot and Joey felt really, they were like the fact that these winners need to drag down, and I'm like, in my head that's not what I was thinking I was doing, but I've always said this before, just because you didn't mean to step on my foot doesn't mean it didn't hurt when you did it,
Yes. Yeah.
even if it was an accident. That does not mean that and I am accepting that. I am publicly acknowledging that. I'm publicly saying, Joey J, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Tamisha Iman, we didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And even if I think they did something shady, I can't atone for them. I can't be like, but Tamisha didn't atone. Well, the Tamisha needs to do it on her own time. That's
Right.
none of my goddamn business.
Yeah.
Me and the Vixen had it out earlier, and I can atone for me, but I cannot atone for the Vixen. I can't suggest when she should atone. It is all up to her to know that. And yeah, you're right, y'all. It's not a personal attack. But again, intentional or not, what happened happened. Thank you for inviting me on your live. I've always liked you.
No, thank you for coming on here. I stand you, and I listen to you and Monet's podcast. I thoroughly enjoy it. Anytime I'll be on a plane ride, I would put it right on. It's like you said, just because you set the mess up by mistake doesn't mean that it didn't hurt. And this is when we take everyone's feelings into consideration. But this is where, like, okay, so like, where do we move from here? Like, so do we stop doing the reviews? Do we be more nicer? There's so much that plays into it. But what
If we start doing the reviews, someone else is going to do them. Like the girls aren't going to stop getting critiqued.
Oh no.
And I mean, I don't have I'm a comedian. I don't have the answer to everything. I think maybe the answer is probably there needs to be some sort of aftercare after RuPaul's Drag Race, making sure that the girls know how to deal with this kind of stuff, making sure that we know what it is. Like everyone's like, you know what you're getting yourself into. No, you don't.
You don't. Because let me tell
Until you think you know, bitch, you don't fucking know.
Let me tell you a little. On set, we were convinced. Everyone was convinced that I was going to come off of Drag Race and be fan favorite #1 because you think you know what you're getting yourself into. That was not the case when the show aired. Drag Race is an entire different ballpark. And sometimes for people, it's easy to sit behind the screen and say, your makeup was terrible, that role was bad, you should have gone home. But when you are on the receiving end of it, and when that show is airing and your name on Twitter is trending for 24 hours and you click on it and it is all how people hate you, it is a completely different situation.
Yeah, you can't, and that's why I hate when everyone's like, you know what it's like. No, you don't. It's like, now I am someone who does not take it personally. I agree with the notion, like, you got to learn to not take life personally, because I don't think we will ever get to a point where people are not critiquing us and judging us and having asking people to not have opinions sounds crazy.
Oh, one thing that I've learned, a lot of girls say, oh, well, you're just a viewer of the show. You don't know anything about drag. Well, they're the viewers. We are putting the show on for them to view. When the viewer watches the show, they're going to have an opinion. And unfortunately, we can't sit there and say, oh, well, how come you don't like me? Because I'm amazing. That's not, life doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that is true. I agree. We everyone's here. Roxy Andrews is up here.
Roxy, Morgan,
got Nick.
Heidi.
They're all John Sibley, girl, they're
Oh
up in here.
man. And you know what? It's like RuPaul says. Unless they pay no bills, pay no bitches no mind. It is hard to not read comment section. It is at some point you're gonna come across them. We live in a social media world.
Yeah.
But I made it a point that since I think it was maybe after Denali's elimination to not read anything again. I stopped completely reading anything because people are gonna have opinions. And I do want to make it very clear that what the fans say, or at least to me, I don't hold that for people always say, oh well, how come Drag Race doesn't speak up, or how come, you know, people always like to put the blame on Drag Race. And to some, I mean, when it was happening to me, to some extent they did speak up about the whole bullying and death threats and all this. But you know, it's difficult. Listen, I always say this, y'all will have a field day if you're watching season 2 and 3 and 4.
Ooh, don't go back and do it. Don't go back and do it. It was problematic. It was problematic. It was messy. Also, like you said, I want to quote RuPaul too. It's like RuPaul said, there's oil in their heels. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not doing this with you.
It's like RuPaul said, if the camera's not rolling, nothing you say matters.
Girl, I'm trying to come back for another season. You gonna fuck me up. Get out of here.
I'll play it. I'll play it. Listen, I'm gonna go. Nicole, if you're still here, I will text you back, Nicole Byer. Thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you for coming on here. Thank you.
I really like you. I've always liked you, and I mean, you're one of the people that we had a lot of opinions about. We loved you.
Absolutely. And I could just sit there and be like, girl, at the end of the day, girl, you can't please everyone. You know?
That's true. That's fucking true.
Yeah.
True that.
And I want to come on the podcast one day. Now that I have you here.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, bye.
All right, bye, Bob. Loves you.
Yeah.
So that was that, y'all. Like I said, thank you, Bob, for coming on here. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. I wasn't coming on here to attack or tarnish Tanisha's name. I wish her the best in her career. I will no longer speak about Tanisha from this point forward. I will no longer speak about that Untucked. I'm moving on from that. I think we should all move on from that. I'm focusing on Kandy Muse and my career. I wish her the best. And that's that. So, with that being said, please do not send any hate to Tamisha. Please do not send any death threats or Team Kandy or you're bitter. Do not send any of that to Tamisha. Tamisha, at the end of the day, is an icon and is someone who y'all should respect. That she is going through whatever she's going through with her, Monet, that is a different situation. That has nothing to do with me. I was coming on here to talk about the little video that she saw that she was upset about. And you know what? I can't sit here and say, oh, well, it was a little, someone asked me a question. I could have diverted from the question. I could have. And I would never, I would never take away from what she feels. If she feels like I was coming for her in that video, I apologize to Misha because I was not coming for you. I was answering a question about a public situation that was happening that I thought was very, very funny. And that's it. But if you want to have a rematch of the lip sync for your life, girl, let's book a show together. Let's make some money. You and I can make a lot of money together, Tamisha. I promise you that. But that's it with that. I love you all so much. What else? That's it. Anyways, bye.